Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hello. Welcome to our number 2 of the line, Talk 99.5. Wearing my Stone Construction shirt today, everybody. I'm kind of dressed like an old man. I got a pocket. On my shirt. Look at that.
Pockets are very convenient.
Look at that. What's this right here? Hold on. Look at this on YouTube.
Wow.
Ah!
You look very important.
I look like I got a real job. How about that? Yeah, it's my cousin Dakota. We call him Gravy. That's his name on Fortnite. He works for them. He's kind of the main safety guy. So he gets to chew everybody out when they're not following the rules. He's one of those. I grew up with him, man. So he's kind of been one of the OGs. And his company, man, they build everything. They built the Coca-Cola amphitheater. I found out last night that the company that Trish works for, they built their home office.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, dang, dude.
That's big time there, man.
They literally build it all. I think the back of this shirt is actually the latest renovations they did at Jordan-Hare Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
They did it as well. So
That's some serious accounts.
I know, man. I don't know what they're doing, but they get all the good ones, all the good accounts. So anyway, if you want to get in, 205-545-9950. Real quick on this Nancy Guthrie thing. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but it's such a bizarre story because it's been going on so long. Was it going on before you got back? Was this already a thing?
Yeah.
It was? It happened before you got here, which was...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like February 9th.
No, I think it was January.
No, I don't think so.
Look that up real quick and see. When did Nancy Guthrie go missing? Would be the question. 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. It's
February 1st, 2026, so it was like a week before.
Okay. All right. So there's a new report about a note, one of the notes they received around February 6th, which was a major shift from the earlier message from the same IP address that had demanded millions of dollars in Bitcoin for her safe return. You remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The latter note adopted according to the new report, a, quote, new, less confident tone and included a, quote, sputtering and labored apology for her inadvertent death. According to sources, the person claiming to be the kidnapper reportedly floated returning her body in exchange for payment. After the second note was received, Savannah Guthrie posted the video addressing the alleged kidnapper. She said, "We received your message, and we understand." I think y'all remember that video. She was saying that they had received a message, but nobody knew what the message was. She said, "We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay." Investigators with the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff's Department were given the notes, which allegedly contained specific non-public details about the crime scene, and flagged them as potentially credible and likely originating from the actual abductor or abductors. These details included a broken floodlight behind Guthrie's home and information about the Apple Watch she was wearing when she disappeared. Quote, there are a lot of different notes, I think, that came, and I think most of them, it's my understanding, are not real, and I didn't see them. That's Savannah Guthrie in an interview with NBC. She said, but I believe the two notes that we received, that we responded to, I tend to believe those are real. So several ransom notes were sent to the media outlets in the days after the disappearance, including TMZ, which had confirmed the notes they received did not mention her death. But TMZ received emails from another individual claiming to know Guthrie's location and the kidnapper's whereabouts in exchange for Bitcoin. One of those emails initially said, quote, time is of the essence, but a later message stated time is no longer of the essence, which Levin or Harvey Levin, interpreted as possibly implying that she's no longer alive. So TMZ passed those notes to the email to the FBI. The Guthrie family received some of them, and in at least one instance, publicly responded by pleading for her return and indicated the willingness to pay. Nancy Guthrie was last seen at her home, blah, blah, blah. Following the morning, she failed to appear for a scheduled church live stream. Relatives checked and found signs of struggle. So essentially, what they're saying is that, and I don't remember where I read this. I don't see it in this piece, but in the note, they basically said, okay, here we go. Claimed she had died shortly after being taken and was buried, quote, in nature. So they are claiming, at least not this, and this is not recent, this is a few months ago, early on, saying that, she died soon after we kidnapped her and we buried her somewhere in nature, but the Guthrie family has no idea where that is. Neither does FBI or law enforcement. It's probably in Mexico somewhere, and I haven't seen any indication of them continuing to demand money. They're probably afraid of getting caught if they keep on and keep on. But at some point, you got to crack this case, man. With all the surveillance and everything, all the technology that we have, it's amazing to me that they haven't been able. And you're talking about somebody, first of all, the sheriff in Pima County is an absolute jabron. So that probably was part of why this has not been solved yet. But with everything the FBI has, and with the status that Savannah Guthrie has, money, fame, whatever, you would think that they would have had the ability by now to find their mother or find their mother's body. Because we speculated early on that she's not alive anymore. They mentioned that she's got medical conditions. She didn't take her medication with her. There was blood at the scene. She wasn't going to make it very long without the stuff that she needed. And so you just pray that she didn't have to suffer, that they didn't, God forbid, torture her or whatever. These are obviously some sick and twisted people to abduct a human being in the first place. So you really don't know what they're capable of. But an awful story nonetheless.
It's just so strange that nothing ever came of of the kidnapping and exchanging. It just kind of went away.
Personally, if it was me, I would have already paid the money and said, here's the Bitcoin, here's whatever, even if she is dead, just to get her body and be able to have an official burial that you can visit, or whatever, and remember your mom by. But I think the local sheriffs and maybe even the FBI prevented her from doing that.
How can they prevent her?
Well, she wants to cooperate because she feels like most people would feel that they have the tools to solve the case, and if their advice is don't pay this money, then she's not going to do it. But
are they going to solve the case?
Apparently not. Sure doesn't look like it. And with the caveat that Savannah Guthrie is a lunatic and a raging lib suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, she's still a human being. She still loves her mother.
Mm-hmm.
Her mother's a human being. And you never want to see anybody going through that. You just hate it, and you wonder if it's cartel linked, if it's drug trafficking, human trafficking linked. You don't know. It's bizarre that they would kidnap an 84-year-old though. Like they had to know it was Savannah Guthrie's mom, first of all, because if you're just kidnapping random 84-year-olds, you don't know if that family's got money or what. You have to know who you're taking. So it was very well, and the fact that they haven't been caught, it shows that it was very well planned out. Wasn't something they just decided on a whim.
It's just so strange.
Speaking of south of the border cartel activity, U.S. Southern Command has hit another drug boat in the Caribbean, killing 2 males. With actually, in this case, you actually had 6 survivors that ended up getting detained. According to U.S. Southern Command, 2 male narco-terrorists were killed in the strike. 6 survivors rescued by U.S. Coast Guard. Footage from the strike shows the boat speeding through the water before being hit with an explosive impact. Always love those videos. Southern Command said in a statement, on June 21st, at the direction of Southcom Commander General Francis Donovan, Joint Task Force Southern Spear conducted a lethal kinetic strike on a vessel operated by designated terrorist organizations. Intelligence confirmed the vessel was transiting along known narco-trafficking routes in the Caribbean and was engaged in narco-trafficking operations. 2 male narco-terrorists were killed during this action, and there were 6 male survivors. Following the engagement, U.S. Southcom immediately notified U.S. Coast Guard to activate the search and rescue system for the survivors. No U.S. military forces were harmed. Boy, our military does a whole lot of stuff as of late without getting a scratch on them,
I know.
We've had, obviously, tragic accidents, and training accidents. I think we recently had one off the coast of Alaska with the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
Maybe
and that's
yesterday.
naturally going to happen.
Yeah, you're going to have those instances. And I think within the conflict of Iran, we lost, I hope I'm not getting this number wrong, but I think we lost 13 brave soldiers that were in the Middle East, not in Iran, but at a U.S. station in the Middle East. I don't remember if they were in the UAE or in Saudi Arabia, but they were hit with a missile and were killed early on. But outside of all of that, I mean, the fact that we haven't lost any soldiers on that front has been absolutely astonishing. Over 200 narco-terrorists have been killed in the strikes since the first one in September of 2025. 200. At least 60 attacks have been carried out by U.S. forces on these boats in the Caribbean and the Eastern Pacific. The last strike on June 18th killed 3 male narco-terrorists. So, love to see it, man. Love to see it.
I mean, why would they even continue to try?
Yeah, I
why
wonder.
Did that boat try?
I do wonder that. Like when they're having their morning coffee and they're meeting at the narco office, and they're like, "All right, who's working the who's working the packing and the shipping and receiving for the cocaine? Who's working in the manufacturing department, and who's driving the boats today?" And everybody's quiet.
No, me, senor.
No boat, senor. They're like, somebody's got to do it. They're like, no, not me. And then they have to just force, people to do it. I got to imagine.
I can't.
Because it's a suicide mission. You're not just losing those people, you're losing the product on there as well.
Yeah, I mean, and how much product are you really, on the boat compared to what it used to be?
Yeah.
I mean, is it even worth it? Find something else to do. Open a series of gas stations or something.
Yeah. I mean, open up a couple Chevrons down in Miami.
There you go, Miami.
Or something. Just get it together. All right, 205-545-9950. Noto Roofing bringing you this part of the show. Noto roofing.com. Notoroofing.com. Get with my guys at Noto. Free roof inspection, complimentary roof tune-up, as I've been talking about today. Problems arise when it comes to your home, whether it's your AC unit or it's your roof or it's whatever. You got to take care of it, especially that roof, because big problems can happen. Let Noto get up there, inspect it, and get you a complimentary roof tune-up. Remember, this costs you nothing and there's no obligation. You don't owe them anything just for inspecting your roof. Let them get up there and do it. Best of the best in the business. And let them know Andrew Mclain sent you their way. 205 848 2299. That's 205 848 2299. Online, notoroofing.com. Justin says, I still think they need to make a cocaine shark movie.
Yeah, those were real big about a decade or so ago.
What, cocaine shark?
Well,
There's
the
Cocaine Bear.
Sharknadoes.
Sharknado.
Yeah, Cocaine Bear. That was actually really good. It was funny and terrifying at the same time.
I never saw any of those, but I know Benji Bronk was in one of the Sharknado movies, which is one of the guys that was, I don't know if he's still there, but he was on staff on the Howard Stern show back before he started sucking wind, back when he was funny, or the show was funny. The problem is, in retrospect now, when I look back on that show, is that Howard wasn't even the funny one, you know? He was kind of the guy that just was the face of it. He would literally have people like he would have comedians in particular that would write down funny stuff to say on notes and pass it to him during the show.
Oh man,
Like, that's weak, you know? That's kind of weak.
That's a loser. That's a poser right there.
He had Jackie the Joke Man. He brought in, and don't get me wrong, man, when it comes to comedians, they are great for radio because they're funny. They know how to keep a conversation going. But, you know, he was really taking their spotlight or their zingers and using them himself and making himself seem a lot funnier than he actually
No,
was.
man, that's
And then once COVID came around, all of it just got exposed of how much of a D-bag he really is. As much as I hate it, because I was a fan. I was a fan for a period of time.
well, you live and learn.
You live and learn. At least I can admit I was wrong, right?
Right.
And that's what Tucker Carlson claims to be doing. He claims that he's been wrong about supporting the Republican Party. And I just listen. We probably got people in the audience that still like Tucker Carlson. That's fine. But this Tucker Carlson now is not the Tucker Carlson that I was a fan of years ago when he was on Fox, when he had his own show on Fox. He was just absolutely on it, laser focused, hitting the issues, hitting the points, and getting them right, man. He was on the forefront of exposing January 6th, exposing COVID. Like, he was the man, and I really looked up to the guy. But just like so many others, they get to a point in their life or a point in their career where they just take a hard left turn and they stop making sense. And we've had these discussions on the show, but I don't, Tucker's he just kind of lost his marbles. And there's a clip going around right now where he was on somebody else's podcast and was saying that he is no longer going to vote Republican. He can't support the Republican Party any longer. And I'm just kind of like, huh? What? I mean, we've all got our issues with the Republican Party as a whole, right? Anybody that supports Trump has got issues with the Republican Party, especially considering how the Republican Party has treated Donald Trump. But it's not just the Republican Party. He feels the same way about Donald Trump and everybody associated with Trump. Listen to what he said.
I would not support the Republican Party. There's no chance I would support the Republican Party. I'm not going to support the Democratic Party. I don't know what I'm going to do. But at this point, how could I or any American voter support a political party that's not loyal to the United States, that puts the interests of a foreign country above those of its own citizens? Like, that's it's not possible to vote for people like that, and I'm not going to. And I think I voted Republican my entire life. I worked at Fox News, CNN, right, MSNBC. I've been a consistent defender for 35 years of the Republican Party. I mean, very consistent defender. But there's no defending this because it's immoral, and it's exactly the opposite of what a political party in a democracy is charged with doing, which is representing its own voters, its own citizens, its own nation. And they're not doing that. So, no, I'm out. And if I'm out, then I think a lot of other people are out.
And hey, maybe he's right. Maybe there's going to be a lot of people follow Tucker's lead. But the thing is like, the one thing that caught my eye is like, he said, I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, it sounds to me like your only other choice is just not to vote. If you are not going to vote for the Democrats and you're not going to vote for the Republicans, I mean, you can vote for some wacky Green Party candidate or somebody that doesn't stand a chance, but the logic there just doesn't make any sense. While the rest of us are like, yeah, we take it by a case-by-case basis, but Republicans are definitely better than Democrats. So yeah, as Tucker says that, he's not just referring to the Republican Party. He's referring to Trump as well. He has contracted a case of TDS like some other defectors that were formerly aligned. I guess you could say aligned with the Republican Party, but we've all said for years we don't necessarily like the label of Republican because there are many within the Republican Party who are not good people and who are not looking out for us. And in Tucker's view, a lot of this, and for most defectors, this goes back to the topic of Israel. And they have just latched on to that issue and made it their number one issue. It's make or break across the board. You either support Israel or you don't. And if you support Israel, want to have nothing to do with you. You know, the Ted Cruzes, the Lindsey Grahams, the whatever. And I can't wrap my mind around why such smart people, because Tucker is a smart individual, can't look at the situation and see the difference between a Donald Trump and a Ted Cruz, or a Donald Trump and a Lindsey Graham, or Donald Trump and any Republican that has held office, or any president who has had any dealings with the Middle East. This is so different and has been handled so differently than any other conflict that we've dealt with, that I'm grateful that he's handled it the way he's handled it. Any other president, we would already have boots on the ground in Iran. We would have been looking at, a long-term stay there. We would be looking at doing the bidding of Benjamin Netanyahu in the sense of, whatever they think's best as far as what we need to do. And it's been the exact opposite of that.
Well, he's used technology, just brilliantly. He did it during his campaign. He uses it now with social media, and with the military, he's using it brilliantly because we haven't had to have boots on the ground. It's all been remote, and the technology.
Yeah, warfare has changed dramatically. And he has, he's taken advantage of that. And fortunately, he's surrounded by smart military leaders that have helped guide him in the right direction. And we haven't had that in the past. And so it's so different. You almost can't even identify Donald Trump as a Republican if you are going to identify the Republican Party as people like Mitch McConnell or Lindsey Graham or Ted Cruz or Dan Crenshaw or whoever. Like, those are not people that any of us like. But the part where the disagreement comes in is that the commander-in-chief is somehow doing the bidding of a foreign country, while every indicator that we've been given says otherwise, says that he's doing this on behalf of the U.S., doing the very thing that Tucker says a president should be doing, which is looking out for his citizens. And all the while he's dealing with Iran, they're busting Medicare fraud. They're out here taking gangbangers off the street. They're cleaning up the streets. That used to be a big thing for Tucker Carlson as well. Remember, he used to travel, and part of me thinks that this is what's gotten in Tucker's mind is he's been going and visiting other countries, and he's been treated very well, which is ironic considering the fact that he is talking about foreign countries influencing someone's view or our leader's view. He used to go to Moscow. Remember when he interviewed Vladimir Putin? He went to Moscow. He did this big video about how beautiful it was and how clean it was and how they actually cared about, clean and safe streets. Well, that's what Donald Trump has been doing. He ends up buying a house, $1 million house in Saudi Arabia. You know, because it's like I don't know. So something has gotten to Tucker. I don't know that this is a genuine evolution of Tucker's worldview. There's got to be more to it because, again, he's such a smart individual that it's hard for me to believe that this was just one day he was like, well, the things I used to stand for, I'm throwing them out the window. Just weird. Just weird. Hey, Mark's on the line. Mark, what's up, buddy?
Hey now, and hey now.
Hey now.
I was going to do my best to channel the famous Charles Allen Head. Happy Tuesday, Belton,
Happy
Alabama.
Tuesday.
So here's the deal, man. I turned the radio on, Mclain, and I heard you talking about old Tucker. So I don't believe anything, or I don't believe everything anyone says, but I think I can kind of sort of help your brain get there. I think Tucker's a patriot, meaning he has no allegiance to the red or the blue, right? That's what he's saying. I don't think he's saying that Trump's bad. I don't think that he's saying he's ineffective, but he's disappointed in his stance on Epstein as well as Israel, as far as Ted Cruz, Mike Huckabee. Have you seen those interviews by chance?
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of them. I saw the Huckabee one. I've seen at least clips of both of them. I don't know if I watched them in their entirety.
Yeah, I would encourage you to watch them in their entirety, and you can see that the evolution of what's going on. We've got sitting senators and congressmen that are doing the bidding for foreign countries. That's what they're doing. So we should be a patriot and look out for America first. And I do believe that's what Trump is doing. But, you know, he needs to drain that swamp, bottom line.
Yeah, well, I guess my issue here is because, as I stated, with you know the people that we're mentioning, we agree with Tucker that there are some bad apples within the Republican Party, and that we don't even really like to identify ourselves as Republican. We like to identify ourselves as conservatives. It's the issues he's taken with Donald Trump that just doesn't make sense to me, that he paints this picture, and not in this particular clip, but in previous interviews and in his own podcast, as Donald Trump being one of these that are doing the bidding of a foreign country, and we've got no indication of that.
Well, I think what sent him over the edge is the Charlie Kirk assassination. I think that's what put Tucker and Candace and some folks over the edge, and that's why they're speaking out against the machine at this point. Because honestly, if you're not a patriot, then you're caught up in the red or the blue or whatever. So the reason for my call, though, Mclain, was why not let's hold the politicians, regardless of political party they represent, to the truth. Because during election season, we just had the primary, last week? You had all these ads on there attacking, well, I'm not in the military, you were never in the military, or you didn't do this, you didn't tell the truth and held accountable for the truth only. I think that's when we can really make change.
Yeah, I encourage everybody to do that. That's what we've done on this show, and it's what I don't know. It almost feels like, and I'm just basing this off of what I hear from other people, but the people that really pay attention to politics, especially on this side of with conservatives, you're not going to find many of them. And I'll just even narrow that down to Trump supporters. The vast majority of them do not like the entire Republican Party and do hold those on the Republican side accountable. I mean, we talk about them on a regular basis, whether it be a vote or, the spineless Republicans that won't pass the Save America Act or whatever it is.
Well, look at Massey. He got primaried because of what? Because he took a stand against the machine, and they put him out. So, but anyway, that if we held the politician to the standard of telling the truth, And when they're not telling the truth, whether it's in a political ad or about a certain bill or legislation, then then we can do something about that. But they're allowed to lie, and that's why we're where we're at. So I think Tucker, again, is a patriot. I don't think he hates the U.S. He loves the U.S., and he loves the patriots that's out there. And he's just trying to shed some light on things that are going on in the Republican Party. So I don't think that you can have a blanket statement and say, hey, look, the entire Republican Party's defunct, nor the Democrat Party to say that. But, it's the system. And so the system, hopefully we can do something with it. Anyway, y'all have a great day. Charles Ellenhead, Bessemer, Alabama.
All right, Mark. I appreciate it. I guess the problem with that clip was that Tucker did make a blanket statement about the Republican Party. And he says, I cannot support the Republican Party. He says, I can't support the Democrat Party, obviously, so I don't know what I'm going to do. And that's kind of confusing to me. Bubba Rumble up next. Bubba, what's happening?
Hey now!
Hey now!
Well, first and foremost, I would like to congratulate Jonathan Bizzle, Esquire, on becoming a member of the Sugar Daddy Club.
Yes, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
You get you some of that, ladies. Get you some of that. The line's going to be long. Get your applications in now. All right. That being said, this whole Tucker thing, I've kind of was never really like a Tucker aficionado. I don't really watch lamestream news of any kind, but I've watched him transform into different people over the years. It wasn't too many years ago where he was a little geeky libtard on CNN with his bow tie, espousing the libtard point of view and having a good following on that. And then that candle burned out. And then all of a sudden he transitions over to Fox, and all of a sudden he's the astute, stalworthy, conservative dude with the pinstriped power tie on. And now I guess he'll have to morph into a new character, and I guess his probably most likely path would be libtarditarian.
Yeah, I guess.
You got to go where the audience is, and that's kind of a thing these days.
Well, that was another thing he said, which kind of caught me off guard. He said, I've always been a conservative, and I've always supported the Republican Party. And I'm like, no, I don't think that's the case. I think you actually used to be liberal, which we didn't hold against him. We're glad he saw the light, but he used to be, at the very least, a libertarian.
Yeah, and I think that would be his most likely path to generate views, which are then translated into money. I think Tucker really is just an actor. I really think that's his thing. We may never know his true belief system, but he goes where the money is, you know what I mean? And he does his homework. He gets his scripts prepared. He goes on and presents a good storyline to the audience that he knows that's what they want to hear. So I'm interested to see where this goes now. And for all we know, he might end up being a anchor on Al Jazeera the way things are going with him right now.
Yeah, I remember Al Jazeera wanted to interview me.
Did you do that, by the way?
No,
I missed that.
I didn't. They were
That's good.
their timeline. I tried to get them to do it on the show live, so they couldn't go back and edit it and chop it up, but they wouldn't do it. So.
Well, that was a wise move on your part, and it showed their true colors, because if they really wanted to dig into who Andrew Mandu really was, they would have taken you up on your offer.
Yeah, no, they wasn't going to do that.
Well, as far as these, these political pundits and their sea changes, philosophy and all that, one thing I can say for sure is Andrew Mandu and Jonathan Bizzle are the same people that I first discovered quite a few years ago now, and your core mission statement has not changed. Your core values have not changed. And we on this Trump train together to this very day.
Yeah,
Let's
baby.
go, baby.
That's right. All right, boys. I'm going to let you get back to it. Always a pleasure speaking with the both of you. And you all in the Hey Now Nation have a nice day.
Hey now. Hey now.
Hey now.
Yeah, it's that is one thing. I mean, he makes a good point. The fact that we've been consistent on this show, We get hammered for it, but, we've yet to make this dramatic 180 on everything. 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 180 on 180.
We is who we is.
Now, my view on the Israeli government has changed a little bit in the sense of what we've seen over the course of the past few years and in the wake of October 7th, which, I wasn't against what Israel was doing in the wake of October 7th because that was an absolute atrocity what happened to them. But then what you started to kind of piece the things together as to how did October 7th even happen in the first place and start asking questions, which is the most important thing you could possibly do. Then you're kind of like, okay, what have we really got going on here? Charlie Kirk brought that up. He was on the PVD podcast. He says, I love the people of Israel. I love the Jewish people. He's like, but I cannot make sense of this fortress known as Israel being, having this happen where these terrorists, these paragliding terrorists, being able to bust into a music festival undetected and slaughter and rape and kidnap so many people. It just doesn't make sense to me that was able to be accomplished by these cave dwellers that eat dirt sandwiches. Just doesn't make sense. Whether or not even if they are being funded by Iran, they're still dirty, stinky terrorists. So but anyway, that's another topic for another day. But, there's a lot of stuff that I think if we had Tucker in here that we could agree on. My main sticking point is this idea of Donald Trump, and you can call me drinking Trump's bathwater or whatever, but we've never seen anything like this from a leader. And we absolutely have every indicator to show that Donald Trump is doing what he thinks is best for this country, not what's best for Israel. It's been shown day after day after day. 205-545-9950. More on that up next. 205-545-9950. 545-9950. Let me get Greg in Pelham. Greg, what's up?
What's up? Yeah, the guy that just called and hung up that said Tucker Carlson was a liberal, he was on CNN as a conservative. Everybody who disagrees with Trump isn't a liberal. I don't understand how that's become the narrative now. I guess it's like people that listen to Fox News all day think that anybody that disagrees with the war going on for Israel is a anti-Semitic.
What war is going on for Israel?
The war in Iran.
That the U.S. Conflict with Iran is being done for Israel?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. What evidence do you have on that front?
Marco Rubio said it.
Marco Rubio says. Marco Rubio, president of the United States?
And then also Lebanon is
So we're not going to answer that. Gotcha.
Christian. Lebanon has a Christian president or prime minister. Look it up.
Okay. Well, your point on that
Israel
is what?
is currently bombing Lebanon, where there's Christian citizens. There's no Christians living in Israel. You cannot become an Israeli citizen unless you're Jewish.
Well, then why, if this is Israel's war, why is Donald Trump trying to stop Israel from bombing Lebanon?
He can't. We're involved in Iran because of Israel.
Are you going to answer my questions or no? Because that's the second one I've asked and you won't answer.
I just told you, Marco Rubio said it. The war in Iran was because Israel was going to preemptively strike, so we struck first.
Is Marco Rubio the president of the United States?
He speaks for the president. He's in the cabinet.
Is Marco Rubio the president of the United States? That's a yes or no question, Greg.
No, he's not.
Okay.
No.
All right. Is Trump trying to stop the bombing in Lebanon that's being done by Israel?
I would hope so.
The answer is yes. You don't have to hope. The answer is yes.
We should have never gotten involved. He's trying to open the strait up that was already opened.
So are we done with the narrative that Donald Trump is fighting a war for Israel? Or do you still believe that?
I know. I 100% believe that.
Okay. All right, Greg. Thank you for your call, buddy. Wait, that's a weird relationship with somebody you're working for, and you're constantly chewing them out and cussing them out over the phone, telling them to quit the effing bombing. That if it wasn't for you, they wouldn't even be on the map. They would have been blown up already. And this is the point I'm trying to make with the Tucker stuff. I just don't understand why people think that Donald Trump's doing this because of Israel.